My name is Devin Cox. Currently I work for a company called Emdeon Corporation. Emdeon is a large healthcare provider network. My father always owned businesses, right, and was kind of an entrepreneurial kind of guy, and so I just kind of assumed that's what you did, right? I mean, I just kind of grew up, just kind of figured, well, you know, someday I'll own my own business and I'll start a business. And so I didn't really have any other notion of what a career could be, to be honest with you. So when I went to college and I went through school, my goal was, you know, what kind of skills can I develop that would suit me or would help me in that kind of a career. The other issue was I didn't really know, you know, to start a company, typically you kind of have to have some kind of skill, like I'm a software programmer, right? So I'm going to develop some software program. Or I'm a tradesman of some sort, so I'm going to open up a company that, you know, that offers some kind of plumbing or whatever. I didn't have any of that, so I figured, you know, every company that I would be involved with, whether I owned it or didn't own it, universally most companies need sales guys. So I kind of focused on what does it mean to, you know, what skills would be involved in a sales type of or a marketing type of a career. And that's kind of where I focused. My college education, I graduated in communications simply because, as opposed to marketing or business finance, simply because it forced me to write a lot. And I figured, well, writing would be a good skill for a sales guy to have, right? And so really, you know, I kind of, and I always knew that with the companies that I would form, I would kind of bring in partners, right? And I would find partners that filled in those skill gaps that I didn't have necessarily. So I would be kind of a sales and marketing guy, and then you would have the operations guy, and you would have the finance guy. And that's kind of how it's evolved.
What were some steps that you kind of took to immerse yourself in the sales world?
Right out of college, I took a job with an information management company called First Image Management. I, you know, was fortunate that my manager was he really believed in mentoring the people underneath him. So if you can find a guy like that is willing to mentor you, that's by far the best way for you to start generating those skills. I was open to learning from my mentor, but then I was also open to learn from my customers. And a lot of sales guys don't do that. They get the manager thing, but they think, well, I'm the subject expert and he's my customer. I'm supposed to be telling him the way it is. And they don't learn from the customer, and that's where I get most of my education. Most of the ideas have actually come from talking to customers and the customer saying, now if I had this, or if you had a solution that would do this and this and this, that would be very powerful for me, and very, you know, and I would love that.
What kind of roadblocks you run into? Challenges that you've run across and starting the business?
Oh boy, how much time do we have? You know, it's interesting. My dad taught me something a long time ago, and this has really stuck with me. And it is proven true every single time, without question. He says, one thing you can always count on when you start, or you know, and you want to build a business, is it always takes longer and costs far more than you ever imagined to get to a certain level with the company, right?
So how did you get past that? How did you keep going even despite the struggle?
Well, what we did as a company is we diversified our services.
Yeah.
And so what we did was, you know, as that industry was kind of catching on, we would go and focus in these other areas. They were a little bit more mature.
Yeah, kind of filling the gaps.
Exactly, and we would sell to those and grow in those areas.
What, looking back at that, what was some advice maybe you could give us and other people?
This sounds cliche-ish, but it's absolutely true, okay? When you're looking for, you know, here's what I want to do, you know, when I get out of school, I want to do a career, or whatever it is, right? Even if you don't want necessarily a career, but you want to, whatever it is, make sure it's something that you kind of have passion around and it's something you're really excited about. And that will take you through the hard times because it'll get ominous and there'll be struggles. But you're okay with that because you still kind of enjoy what you're doing, you enjoy the topic, if you will. There are a lot of aspects of my job I don't necessarily love doing, right? But I'm passionate about what I do, and I think that's the difference.